First one's from Doug Mouton.
Yeah, hey, Malcolm. Two of Tom Brady's worst games of the year were two against you guys. What would you say you guys were able to do to sort of disrupt a little bit?
Well, the first game I thought was pretty, close. We battled back and forth. We got a couple big plays. Marcus Williams had the interception that was good, and we also had a pick six in that game. Second game was a little bit, obviously, it's totally different. Took a life of its own between our offense scoring points and then, us being real stingy early in the game. They had to abandon, the run and really become one-sided. So that was really, a different game. So we can't expect the same thing, but I do think that we match up well with this, when it comes to their skill, obviously on defense, and our offense, does what they do. But we don't expect it to, be the same team. This team, we watched them, they've gotten better from week one to the second time we played them till now. Over the last 5-6 weeks, they've been really taking off, especially offensively. So we don't expect it to be the same game, but obviously we're very confident in our matchups.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, that was my question. How have you seen their offense evolve from game one to game two to as you've been watching film for their games since then?
Yeah, I mean, when you watch all the other games outside of the breakdown, you take, our games out of it, they're putting up close to 400 yards of passing, almost every week. Gronk has gotten more involved, AB's gotten more involved, Mike Evans has been steady, and Godwin is just somebody who I think, it can always win and get them a good conversion or make plays. They're doing a good job of mixing in the run, but they beat you with, that pass game. And Tom's been clean. You keep him upright and keep him in the pocket. He's the greatest to ever do it. But if you can disrupt him, get some hits on him, then things change.
Next one's from Amos Morrell.
Yeah, you mentioned the receivers that they have. Wanted to ask you, do you think that because of the way the last game played out, that there may be a little extra motivation for that group to kind of come out and have a better showing?
Well, I hope to motivate. Well, with the winner goes to the NFC Championship. I would think that would be enough motivation. I know it is for us. And obviously being in the division, knowing them well, it's going to be plenty of things to get motivated by.
Next one from Luke Johnson.
Hey Malcolm, I know there's a lot of reasons that go into why guys like Drew Brees and Tom Brady have played for as long as they have, but I'm curious what your opinion is on just like their nature as competitors. Even if that's stuff that manifests off the field, like beating you at ping pong or something like that.
Well, I think Drew's made his like little quarterback challenges that they do every day, in practice. That's been well documented. Just the constant competition and being able to work on the skill set. Tom, the same thing. I think, his regiment and his training, all of those things have been documented. And I think that the older and older these guys get, the more and more they lean on their experience, their understanding of the game. I watch Drew all the time in practice, just kind of off to himself, going, you can tell he's going through plays in his mind and literally, in his stance, and there's nobody around. He's just doing the stuff in his head. And those mental reps, you see play out throughout the game when they seem like they can anticipate coverage, they can, get the ball there on time. All of those things make them the players that they are. It's not just, by accident. They work real hard and stick to, kind of their process of preparing for games.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember it happening this offseason, but when there was nothing else going on, Brady had that golf tournament thing with Peyton Manning, and everybody was talking smack on him, and he pulled one out from 80 yards or something like that. I mean, it just seems like maybe it's just a little bit different, but maybe that's just a competitor thing, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's not, when you're a competitor, it's not something you turn off. And I think you see that when you do get them kind of outside of the realm of football and just anything else, they're definitely competitors, in everything. That's not a muscle you can turn off.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, both Drew and Sean said this week, just by knowing how good Tampa was this season, playing them in the playoffs almost feels expected, like that was something that was probably going to happen. Do you feel that way too?
Yeah, I think, in the back of our minds, even after the last time we played them, we understood that we'd see that team again at some point, or at least there was going to be a good chance of it. So I don't think we're surprised that we're in this space. And I don't think we'd have it any other way. It's exciting. It's hard, really, really hard to beat a team twice. So obviously times that by a few, and it's really hard to beat a team 3 times, but especially with the firepower that they have. But for us and where we want to go, I think that just adds context to the story, and we look forward to the challenge.
Next one's from Jane Slater.
Malcolm, I'm curious, what has been your impression of both Coach Payton and Drew Brees having, been there, left, come back? Where have you seen those guys elevate their game, especially in the postseason?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just the ability to adapt. Obviously Drew has had to adapt his game as he's gotten older, just to be able to match his skill set, but also the changing kind of threats that he's had. Back from when I was here, you had the Colstons, the Jimmy Grahams, and all of those. Then it was, your Sproles and Brandon Cooks. Now you got Mike T, Alvin Kamara. Those weapons, have changed over the years. And between Sean and Drew, just the ability to game plan based off of your skill set. And even when, Drew was out for a period this year and even last year, the ability to create game plans that can be executed by whoever's in the game, whether it's Taysom and that stretch when we were running the ball really, really well. So being able to win different ways to me is the most impressive thing, and that's what creates that longevity when you talk about success of a program. Being able to sustain over the years is the ability to adapt and give yourself the best chance to win games.
We also talked this week a little bit about the culture and how Drew could have anticipated, early on in his career that would be a nightclub in the post games. But how important is just some of that culture? I mean, there's so much thought that goes into making sure you bring the speakers and the smoke machine on the road and making sure it's loud enough that the opponent hears it. Again, you've been in another locker room, you've been a part of a winning program. How important is that culture? Have we underestimated that here in New Orleans?
Well, I think, even internally, that's new for me when I came back, here. Those are things that we didn't do when I was here before. So, again, the ability to adjust to new personalities, a younger team, that's not as traditional as, the things that we used to do. But understanding what motivates your team, too, right? What gives them juice, what allows them to play loose, allows them to keep their same personalities. And I think that's one thing that Sean Payton has done since I've known him is just really being able to manage individual personalities without making anybody feel like they can't be themselves. And, and that's from all the way from your Jeremy Shockeys to Roman Harper's all the way to now your, Alvin Kamara's and CJ and other guys like that, we got a lot of strong personalities on this team. But I feel like everybody's able to be themselves, and that creates a culture where everybody's bought in and everybody is headed in the same direction.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Malcolm, I apologize if this is something you've answered a billion times this year, but how long did it take you to really feel comfortable in this defense? I know you've played a ton of football. You played with DA before, but with no off season and coming into a new team, when do you feel like that started to click really for you specifically?
For me specifically, I don't think I really had a full grasp on kind of the entire defense, or like I normally have, probably until we played Chicago the first time, whenever that was. So that was a few weeks in, and it took a minute to be on the field with those same guys, to get those live reps and get a feel for how everyone around me, how they play. And that's important to my game. So it was definitely, without an off season, took a little bit longer than normal to pick those things up. But I also think, just as a whole, we were trying to figure that out, in the beginning of the season. But Since then, it's really once it did get kind of locked in and everybody's on the same page, what we've been able to add, what we've been able to adjust throughout the year has really given us the chance to improve as a defense and have success like we have.
What kind of goes into that for you? Like is that conversations with you and DA? Is that you just like taking extra time with your teammates on the field? Like how do you get from where you started to where you started to feel really good?
Well, yeah, it takes a lot of collaboration, whether it's, conversations with DA. Aaron Glenn, I think, was really instrumental to that, being able to, as a 12-year veteran sometimes, there's not much that I feel like, or oftentimes I feel like there's not much to be taught or learned. But he's done a great job of really being able to teach me new things and new ways of how to play certain coverages that I think has made me a better player and helped me improve as well. But then also just, for myself, being open to doing different things and fitting more into the defense. But I think they've also created packages and plays that really highlight my skill set. And so I think a combination of all of those things have really helped me out and really got me adjusted to the defense, but it's also helped us as a defense in general.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, two-parter here. Drew turns 42 tomorrow. Can you imagine playing football for 8-9 more years?
No, I just turned 33. I don't think anybody wants to see me playing football at 42.
And then the second part of that, and it's not that he's just playing at 42, right? He's playing well at 42. I guess what does that say about him that even though he may be, the resident, one of the resident old men of the league, that he's still playing at such a high caliber?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious thing that happens when you get older is you physically can't do the same things that you did when you were in your 20s. Like, time is unforgiving, for everybody. And so the way you offset, that is to really sharpen your understanding of the game, the cerebral part of football. And the ones who last as long as he has know how to take care of their body, but more importantly, they know how to mentally win the game, and the game becomes so much less about the physical attributes and more about what's going on between your ears. And it's been really impressive to see him play at such a high level for so long.
Last one's from Jane Slater.
I'm already enjoying seeing Marshawn Lattimore get on social media and preview this matchup again with Mike Evans. What do you think of Marshawn's play and just his personality on the field?
Yeah, I mean, when I first got here, I told him, I want to see him be considered the best corner in this league. And I think he has the skill set. I think he has the mentality. And his thing is, being consistent against the guys who aren't the premier receivers, because when it is, those big time matchups, that's when you see him locked in. And I think, this is probably one of his favorite matchups, just because, Mike Evans is somebody who, is well renowned in this league. He's a big body, makes a lot of plays, and Lat really does, enjoy those matchups. So, I'm sure he'll be locked in. He's got that attitude that we want in a defense where there's no fear. He wants to press and challenge. And that's what you want out of your number one corner. And we're definitely going to need that if we want to have some success.
We're all set. Thank you. First one's from Luke Johnson.
Ron, 2 years in a row now, Tampa's had the number one rush defense in the NFL statistically. Y'all ran the ball pretty well against them last time. So I guess what do they do so well that makes it tough? And then what did y'all find success with the last time y'all played?
Schematically, they have a really good plan on how to defend the run. Very gap sound, disciplined defense, and they got the personnel to get the job done as well. So we got to be a concentrated effort to continue to create lanes in the run game, be extremely physical up front, get the job done, and execute our game plan.
Next one's from Amos Morale.
Yeah, you kind of touched on what I was going to ask, but you mentioned the concentrated effort. In a game where you're going against the top run defense in the league, how do you measure the success? I mean, obviously with the yards, but is there any other way you say, all right, we're executing what we're trying to do, even if the numbers don't show?
Yeah. Just try to get our job done individually, and then collectively get have a successful play, successful run. It'll take all 11 to get it done. Like I said, those guys have the personnel to have that, to be statistically the number one run defense. So it won't be an easy task by no stretch, but I think we'll be able to get it done.
Next one's from Nick Underhill.
When you're playing a team for the third time, are there things you can do with your sets or your technique to just kind of give them a different look and maybe try to offset that familiarity that you guys have with one another?
Not so much. Not so much. I mean, not necessarily with technique. If anything, it'll be I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's hard to say. I mean, we 18 games in now. Our identity is such. So it's about execution, preparation, going out there playing hard, physical, and find a way to win.
Next one's from Luke Johnson.
Hey, Teron, what's the most competitive you've seen Drew Brees off the football field? Like, is he tried to beat you in something that he shouldn't be trying to beat you at, like fastball? Like that?
Anything. If anything turns into a competition by any stretch of imagination with Drew, is like that. It's like 100%. No matter if it's rock, paper, scissors, ping pong. We've had some ping pong matches that has gotten pretty intense. Sweat, and I beat him. I felt like he wasn't talking to me for a couple of days after. Like, it's real. Like, he's an extremely competitive dude.
Do you feel like that? I mean, obviously, Drew does a lot of stuff to have his career go into 20 years now. But do you feel like that plays a part of it? Just like when you're so competitive that you can't turn it off, and that's why he's still in the league 20 years later.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the main components of his makeup. His competitiveness, him getting up to that level to win, to compete. That's a huge part of who he is.
Next one's from Doug Mouton.
Have you taken any time this week to think about the big picture of this game? Meaning, this is the NFL's headline game this week. I mean, if you're going to watch one game this weekend across the NFL, this is the one, the Brady, Brees, the whole thing. Have you thought about sort of the history and the bigness of this one? How much do you enjoy being part of that?
No, we try not to. I mean, me personally, I don't really get into the storylines. It's all about winning on Sunday, and once you're in the game, you have no idea who's watching. I don't think we're focusing on, are we on Nickelodeon, are we on Fox, CBS, anything like that. So I don't really get into the storylines much. Still understand the magnitude though. It's the playoffs, and we all fighting for one goal, so it's extremely important. But no, we're just trying to focus on getting that W Sunday, however it comes.
Next one's from Mike Triplett.
Terrell, what do you think Sean Payton has done really well this year, just navigating, unprecedented kinds of hurdles on and off the field that even he had encountered before in his first 15 seasons?
Coach. I think he's been an excellent coach, putting everyone in position to be successful. The coaching staff, the players, making sure our development is on point whenever we've had mishaps. Being prepared for all type of situations that come up. I think he's done an extremely good job of just being a great head coach.
I know you don't really have any other situations to compare it to in the NFL, but is there sort of a sense that you notice in the locker room of this team knowing, that the coach and the coaching staff is prepared for hurdles and can handle the things that come up based on their longevity and experience?
Yeah, I mean, the uniqueness of this season, never having this experience before, but knowing Sean and the way that he likes to, he don't leave any box unchecked. So just knowing him and how that's how he prepares. He's a guy that'll go back and watch a play from 20 years ago if he feel like it's a possibility it'll come up. So just knowing him, this is kind of like it kind of feeds into his makeup, a season like this with so many unknowns and being able to adjust, midstream adjust, not make any excuses, just go about your business.
Next one's from Jane Slater.
I wanted to go back to, you were talking about Drew Brees. I enjoyed one of the stories that Ryan Ramczyk gave yesterday about kind of his first interaction with him when he messed up a play and Brees basically bit his head off and then walked over to him after practice and said, "I got your back, I'm here for you." Do you have one of those experiences with Drew where you've kind of been on the other side of that fiery intensity and then you walk off the field and, at the end of the day, your teammate? In other words, like, when he does walk away from the game, what stories will you share with family and friends that stands out about Drew and one of those interactions?
Yeah, I've had a ton of interactions with him. Drew was never, like me personally, he's never like, I haven't had that kind of like what Ramczyk had. I haven't had that come up, but it could be anything with Drew. Like if I was to tell somebody about like my experience with him, it would probably be the ping pong matches we had, or shooting a basketball, or it's like literally anything that turns into a game is much more than a game for him, like instantly, and you see it in his focus. A couple years ago we would be throwing darts, offense versus defense, and when Drew was going, it's like, bro, you are way too serious, and that's just how he is. That's just how he is about everything. And I haven't seen one of his like flag football games that he's coaching, but I guarantee he is the loudest, the super intense. The kids might be afraid of him, but that's him. That's him.
What's the one thing he's not good at? I mean, we saw Tom Brady isn't great at golf, which I think a lot of us felt good about. But what is the one thing that Brees maybe isn't as good at?
That's tough. That'd be the hard part about competing with him, because he's like legit good at everything. So that's tough. I don't know. I know he's not the fastest, so I'll say that. So I won't pick Drew in a 100-meter dash. I'll say that.
Next one's from Catherine Terrell.
Hey, Tron, I was wondering if you ever went to any of those get-togethers that Curtis Johnson had at his house after games the last few years, and if so, how do you think that kind of helped the team bond, or at least the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I haven't been, which sucks, because CJ, that's my guy. That's my guy. But I always joke about him because he lives on the West Bank. I just feel like that's so far from Kenner. That's like a trip. If I want to go to CJ house, I got to gas up, I got to get snacks, and I haven't made that commitment yet to do it. But that's my guy, and I will get over to my guy's house.
But you did score an invitation, though, right? Because
yeah.
I heard it's a very exclusive invitation at this point.
Oh yeah, I've been invited. I'm in the cool guys club.
No, I feel ya. Luke will tell you whenever I have to go to the West Bank, I'm like, just too far away.
That's a trip. It's a whole trip.
Thanks.
Next one's from Amy Just.
Yeah, I can see Luke's face, and he is not here for the West Bank hate. But back to actual question. Several of your teammates, Coach Payton, they've all kind of said that, you know, just knowing that the team that you are and the team that Tampa is, that playing in the playoffs was something that was almost expected. Do you necessarily agree with that?
I mean, not that we would be matched up again, but you know that good teams separate themselves during the season. You kind of know who the playoff teams are about midway, so definitely a possibility. Pretty early.
Last one from Luke Johnson.
Okay, first, West Bank is great. You should come over here sometime.
I believe you, bro. I believe
I'm
you.
telling you, it's not that far. It's not that far. Second of all, look, you brought up Drew's ping pong game a couple times here. I just want to know, like, what's his go-to shot?
See, he's all forehand though, all power, no finesse, no spin, nothing. You know, he got the tennis background, and he tell you he beat, top dog back in the day. He give you all his little history and try to intimidate you, whatever. That don't work. But power, he get into that forehand game, you're in trouble. Like if you have no shot to get him out of that power, you are in trouble.
Thanks.
No problem.
All right, Teron, we're all set.
Thank
Thanks for your time.
going somewhere, and apparently, I guess it was going to your house.
Couldn't hear.
Yeah, can you just talk about that picture you posted with the box, your cleats, and the touchdown balls? I guess everybody thought it was going somewhere, and I guess it was just going to your house.
Nah, yeah, I just picked it up. I wasn't in the facility for 10 days, so after the Christmas game, all my stuff was in the locker room, so I just went and grabbed it. I forgot what day that was. It was like 2 days ago, maybe Tuesday or something. Wednesday maybe. Went and grabbed it, and it was in a box, obviously, from the facility. I just put it in a box and brought it home and put them in my little cabinet where I put the rest of my memorabilia that I have. I got all my stuff.
Mike Triplett?
Alvin, is there anything in particular that you think Sean Payton has done well this year while dealing with different wrinkles than he's even experienced before in his first 15 years on the job?
Since I've been here, I think Sean, anything that comes up, I think he deals with it well. He's always thinking, he always has a plan for, the unexpected. He's always planning for the expected, anything. There's times where I'm like, what is Sean talking about? And then something happens and I'm like, dang, that's what he was talking about. So nothing really surprises him. He always has a plan. He's always, like I say, he's always thinking. He's thinking ahead.
Do you have an example of that? Something that he had pre-warned you guys about that came up one time?
He was talking about this whole Corona thing. It's a lot of stuff that he was talking about with this Corona thing, but a lot of it, pretty much, most of everything he said pretty much happened. So.
Nick Underhill?
Sean was talking this morning just about how the evolution process of the team and the identity forming was a little bit different this year without the offseason program. Did you feel like it took a little bit longer into the year for you guys to kind of figure out who you are? And you feel like that process is still going on right now as you guys are in the playoffs?
Me personally, I don't think, not having that offseason really did too much. I think our team as a whole kind of, we kind of have the same core that we've had the past 4 years. There's obviously additions and subtractions every year, but I think we pretty much, everybody on this team knew, what the goal was and what the goal is, and, everybody kind of fits the mold of what we, I guess the template we've created here and the environment and the environment we've created here. So I don't think there was really any. No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. You gotta. I guess you can keep Sean's answer,
yeah.
But I don't think there was anything.
Catherine Terrell?
I asked Teron this question. He said no because he said the West Bank was too far of a drive. But I was wondering if you ever went to any of the get-togethers at Curtis Johnson's house the last few years, and if so, how those kind of helped you guys bond, I guess.
What's the context of the question?
I was asking if you ever went to any of the post-game get-togethers at Curtis Johnson's house over the last few years, and if that helped you guys bond at all.
I have, and yes.
It seems like they're pretty elaborate. I think he said at one point y'all had a band and his wife got really into it. So is that something that, I know that you can't really be done with the pandemic now, so is it something that kind of feels lost, I guess, in the pandemic and everything this year?
Yeah.
John DeSavior?
Alvin, you're out for 10 days. What did you do to maintain your fitness? And after you come back and jump right back into it, you don't seem all that impressed that you were able to do it. Do you do anything that impresses you?
No, not really. I think a lot of it is mental, man. It's like, it's a long season. I mean, you're going to be in for the physical grind, but if you can keep your mind in line, I think it gives you that much more room for success. So me, my 10 days, I was kind of really just trying to keep my mind right. Like, okay, well, I'm out. I can't do anything as far as practice and meetings in person and stuff like that goes. But I mean, and I'm not even talking about mental, like in the meetings, like the Zoom calls and stuff like that, because obviously I had to do that. But I'm just talking about like me, just personally, like just
making sure I'm on point and I'm not, getting out of, my season form as far as my mind goes. The physical, I wasn't worried about the physical at all. Just the mental, making sure I'm still locked in and making sure, I got a playoff game to play. I have Corona, and I'm at home, I'm, sitting, I'm on the couch, whatever, but I can't lose focus of, the fact that we still have football to play. That's it.
And last question for Luke Johnson.
Elvin, off the field, on the field doesn't really matter. What's the most competitive you've ever seen Drew Brees?
The most competitive?
Ron was saying he's pretty wicked at ping pong.
Yeah, the ping pong table gone. RIP to the ping pong table, but he's pretty. Yeah, he get pretty locked in on that ping pong. Drew competitive at anything. He throw a dang Gatorade bottle in the trash can at practice, and he if he missed, it's like he threw an interception. You know what I'm saying? Like he anything he's doing, he's competing, and that's one thing I did notice about Drew, because that's how I am. But I watch, so especially when I first got here, I used to watch everything Drew did, and it's like, man, he want to beat you and tying his shoe if that's a competition. So pretty much everything.
Thanks, AK. Appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm.